Okay, so with my channel, we've been having the ability to cover some older X-Men content, which honestly, that is great. And don't worry, we are still going to continue that, but I don't want to move too far away from not being able to cover newer content that's coming out in the present day. Now, as we all know, when it comes to Marvel Comics, around this time, they're now relaunching the X-Men titles. It's now time for a new era, or as they call it, from the ashes, a new beginning. And so with that being said, I kind of want to be there at the starting point to see where all these new X-Men titles are actually going to go. Now, today's video, we're going to cover X-Men #1, and this launches the whole idea of a new beginning for the X-Men teams out there in the world of Marvel Comics. Now, getting into the opening pages for today's video, we actually do pick up 20 minutes outside of a city called Merrill, Alaska, where we actually pick up at this factory. Now, this factory is the current base for Cyclops X-Men team, the team we're going to follow in this X-Men series. Now, with that being said, we actually do pick up with the sheriff of the police department, and her name is Paula Robbins. Now, she was invited to the factory by Cyclops to have a meeting. Instead, her meeting is now going to be with Beast, Hank McCoy. And the reason why? Because Cyclops and his team are on another mission. And so now we jump over to see where Cyclops and his team is actually up to. And so we actually pick up with Cyclops' team on a mission. Now, the opening pages of this book actually allows us to see who's going to be on this new X-Men team for the main book besides Cyclops and Beast. We got Psylocke, we got Kid Omega, we got Magic, we got Juggernaut, and we also have Temper. And so this is going to be a very unique kind of team that I really do like a lot. Like, this is really a good lineup for the main X-Men team. Now, when it comes to our heroes, we do see them currently attacking a base that belongs to Orchis. Now, it's not the main Orchis group. This is actually a different group that broke away from the main group. But the opening pages of this battle really shows us that this X-Men team could be actually a great X-Men team, especially with the idea of having Juggernaut and Magic on the team. You got two powerhouses right there, being led by Cyclops, who's one of the best leaders in Marvel Comics. But now we have to jump over to Beast. Now, we do see Beast being able to show Paula around the factory that the X-Men had taken over. Now, at first, this is a great tour. You have Beast being able to show Paula like their area of the factory where they're growing plants at, like potatoes, peppers, cucumbers, and the list goes on. And really, they have Glove there being able to take care of the plants. But then this tour gets worse, because the reason why Paula is there is to try to build a bond with the X-Men, but also build a bond between the X-Men and also the town people of Merrill, Alaska, because this factory was a great source of jobs for the people of Merrill, Alaska, but the factory was closed down. Now, the reason why the factory closed down is actually for a good reason, because it was being used to create Sentinels. And as we know, Sentinels are being used, or was used, to hunt down mutants. And so our hero said, this factory closed down for a good reason, because you guys were building robots that was hunting us down. And so yes, it may suck that you guys lost our jobs, but people were losing their lives. Now, like I said though, Paula's here to hopefully build a bond with the X-Men, but also have the X-Men build a bond with the people of Merrill, Alaska. Now, we do jump back over to Cyclops' team. Now, when we do see Cyclops right now and his team trying to save a special person, and that would be Wolverine. Wolverine came here for a special mission that we are about to learn here very soon, but we do see Logan right now being tortured, but he knew that sooner or later Cyclops' team would be here to actually save him. And so now it's time for him to be free. Now, the reason why Logan is here is because Cyclops and his team had detected 6 mutants in this area, 6 new mutants. As we all know, usually when it comes to a mutant, they gain their ability when they hit puberty. That's when their powers usually manifest. And so for Cyclops, he said, hey, you know what? That is wild that 6 new mutants had just gained their abilities in this one particular area. And so he had asked Logan to check the place out. As we all know, Logan got captured. And so he was able to call the Psylocke and say, hey, you know what? I need some help. And of course, the X-Men came. Now, here's the thing. You see, when they do arrive, we do see our heroes fighting against a group known as the Fourth School. Now, the Fourth School is actually a small group that broke away from Orchis. Now, as we all know, Orchis' big main goal was to get rid of the mutant race. The Fourth School technically is not all about that. Let me explain. So as we all know, that mutants usually fight against the humans. Now, when I say fight, I say more of they're trying to play defense against the human race. Now, as we all know, humans will sometimes create robots as a way to hunt down the mutants. And you then have mutants trying to fight back against the robots as well. Those are your 3 big groups right there. When it comes to the Fourth School, their whole idea is to create a 4th kind of species, a combination of AI, humans, and mutants all in one. And so their goal is create a new kind of human race. Not human race, but a new kind of species. Now, I want to jump back over to Beast and Paula, because we actually do see Beast and Paula being able to build a bond between one another. But it's also Paula kind of understanding where Beast and the X-Men are truly coming from. Let me explain. So for Paula, she says, I hated the idea that this factory was technically used to build robots that end up murdering your people, but at the same time it gave my people jobs. And now with the factory being closed, I now have a town full of people who don't have jobs. They're starving, they're angry, and the list goes on with all of their problems. Now Beast does understand that what Paula is saying, but at the same time though, which one is better? The idea to have a group of people having jobs, or the idea of robots hunting down his people? Now, you do have Paula and Beast being able to continue to talk to one another, but you have Beast says, the main goal of this factory for us is to turn into something new and different. That originally it was used to be a way to build death in the world, but now it's time for us to bring life into the world by using this factory. Now, I want to jump back over to the main X-Men team, because you do have our heroes continue on to fight against a few robots, a few guys, the usual stuff. But then we see an argument happening between Kid Omega and Temper. Now, the reason why these 2 characters are kind of going back and forth is because they used to date one another in like the old days of X-Men comics. I don't want to say old days because like 2010s, but either way, they used to date one another, but Temper needed help and Kid Omega was not there to actually help her. Now, I'm not going to dive into what happened to Temper for the sake of this video, but just know that she's kind of mad at her ex-boyfriend at the moment. Now, you do have Cyclops and Magic appear, and you have Cyc ask Kid Omega, hey, do you know where the 6 kids are at that we came to save? Now, Kid Omega says, I do detect 6 new mutants in the area. The problem is, they're not teenagers. They're grown adults. Now, like I said earlier, usually when it comes to a new mutant, when they gain their ability, is when they hit puberty. And so they hear the idea that 6 mutants are adults, 6 new mutants are adults. That's kind of weird. And then out of nowhere, you have more members of the Fourth School appear and begin to attack our heroes. Now, when it comes to Beast, he does continue to show Paula around the factory. Now, this is where Paula is able to meet Zorn. Now, Zorn is kind of like Beast and Glob in a way. What I mean is that his appearance is not really human-like. Like, yes, his body is, but his face is not. And so because of that, he's not really allowed to go out in the public to be a normal person, because most of the people are going to freak out because the way he looks. And so for Paula, she begins to wonder, like, wait a second, Cyclops left on a mission with a team full of people who all look human. And that kind of tells me that he left you guys behind because you guys look like monsters. Now you have Beast say no. When it comes to Cyclops, he does not look at us as monsters. He looks at us as mutants, as people. But our powers are not really that great out in the field. Now, for me personally, that's not correct, because Beast and Zorn powers could be very helpful in different areas of a battle. But is Beast saying we have skills that could be more meaningful in other areas that our team needs us for? So for example, Glob, we already know that Glob is great with plants. Zorn, he's their healer, and Beast, he has a mind for science. They have different skills that are more meaningful for their team. Now that is the moment you didn't have Magneto appear. Now, when it comes to Magneto, this man comes in all aggressive like no other. Like, he's trying to make a point here. And so, because the way he does appear, you have Paula go for her gun. Now, she does not pull it out, but if Magneto does make a move, then Homeboy might get shot by her, which honestly, we already know that Magneto can easily stop her bullet. But for Magneto, he wants to make a point here. And he says, listen, sometimes when it comes to a monster, they are these different kind of creatures out there in the world. But sometimes a monster could be just a regular human being. Somebody who's truly evil, or you have a group of people look at that person as a monster. And so for Magneto, he realized that she went for her gun, and he says, look at you, you now look at me as a monster. Now you do have Beast step in and say, nah bro, the reason why she has her hand on her gun right now because how you appeared. You came in all aggressive. Now for Paula, she does have one question for Magneto. Why are you here with this X-Men team? And he says, listen, this is a great team, but they're too soft. Their main goal is to build bonds with humans. I'm here to remind humans that you should fear the mutant race, that you should fear me. And you guys better not forget that. Now, getting back over to the main X-Men team, we see our heroes fighting against the 6 new mutants that had appeared, the ones who are adults. Now, for our heroes, they're kind of like, this should not be possible at all. The idea that 6 new mutants who are adults arrived in one location. This should not be even close to being possible. But either way, you do have our heroes continue to fight on. Now, while they're fighting, 2 things does happen. First, you have Kid Omega say, these 6 adults are not people who were given the X gene. It wasn't like some kind of Frankenstein project. Like, these people were actually born with the X gene, it seems like. They actually have it in a natural way. And so now the question is, why did their powers activated so late in their lives? Now, while you have our heroes being able to take them down, we do see 2 mysterious characters watching our heroes fight against the 6 new mutants. And so now we know that these 2 mysterious characters are responsible for what exactly happened here at this facility. Now, once you have our heroes being able to get back to the factory, we do see Wolverine telling Cyclops that he will not be here at all, that this is a man who's giving up on the dreams of Charles Xavier, on the dreams that mutants can live on Earth in a peaceful way. And the reason why, because this is a man who has gone through a lot before even becoming an X-Men. And so the idea that the X-Men were able to reach a point, they had an island where all mutants could live together in harmony, and they lost that completely, is Logan saying, I am done. I am tired of losing things left and right. So no, I will not keep fighting on for the mutant race. Instead, I am going to walk away. And he does leave. Now, after that, you didn't have Cyclops being able to talk to Beast and Magneto about the big problem. The idea that, yes, they did find 6 new mutants, but the 6 new mutants are not teenagers. The 6 new mutants are, well, adults. And for Magneto and Beast, they're kind of like, that should not be possible at all. What do you mean by that? But sadly, Cyclops cannot give Magneto the answers that he wants or needs. Now, you do have Beast and Cyclops go their way to have a private conversation. Now, it's really more of Beast telling Cyclops like, hey, I was able to build a bond with Paula, which honestly, that is great. That's a good start because now our goal is to build a bond with the rest of the people of the city. Now, Beast also is asking Cyclops about the structure that's left behind in the city. And you have Cyclops say, no, I want that thing to stay there because I want to remind them that they owe us one because they worked in this factory to create robots that came out there to kill us. So no, that thing is gonna stay there as a way to remind them they owe us one for a very, very long time. And we see that it's a sentinel that was most likely frozen in place and being kept there to remind them what they had done in that factory. But this is where we are going to end today's comic book video. So please leave me a like down below and subscribe. Also, if you have any suggestions on videos I should do or books I should read, please let me know in the comments below because you never know, your suggestion could be a future video down the road. But guys, see y'all next time. Later.